The moment the narcissist realizes their carefully crafted illusions no longer deceive their victim marks a profound shift in power dynamics that sends shockwaves through their entire psychological system. They've built their relational strategy on the foundation of strategic deception, emotional manipulation, and the ability to convince others that reality is whatever they say it is. When someone develops the clarity to see through every performance, recognize every manipulation in real time, and remain unmoved by tactics that once reliably produced compliance, the narcissist experiences something akin to psychological nakedness. Their reaction to this exposure reveals the full extent of their desperation, rage, and fundamental inability to function without the protective shield of their victim's confusion and self-doubt. The panic of complete transparency. The narcissist's initial response to being truly seen is profound panic that they cannot entirely suppress despite their usual composure. They've spent their entire life perfecting masks, performances, and strategic presentations of self-designed to prevent anyone from glimpsing the emptiness beneath their grandiose exterior. When their victim starts calmly identifying their manipulation tactics as they're being deployed, calling out their lies without emotion, and predicting their next moves with unsettling accuracy, the narcissist experiences existential terror. This panic manifests as increasingly frantic attempts to regain control of the narrative and restore their victim's previous state of confusion. They escalate their gaslighting efforts, trying desperately to make their victim question the clarity they've achieved. They introduce new manipulation tactics, hoping to find something their victim hasn't yet learned to recognize. They may even acknowledge minor truths strategically, sacrificing small admissions to preserve larger deceptions, desperately seeking any foothold in their victim's psychology. The narcissist discovers that all their practiced charm, strategic vulnerability, and calculated emotional displays bounce harmlessly off someone who has learned to distinguish performance from authenticity. Their victim's calm recognition of each manipulation attempt as it occurs creates a disorienting reality, where the narcissist can no longer hide behind their carefully constructed facade. This transparency feels like death to someone whose entire identity depends on controlling others' perceptions. The rage of the exposed. When panic fails to restore their power, the narcissist's fear transforms into volcanic rage directed at the person who dared to see them clearly. This fury stems not from being misunderstood, but from being understood too well. Their victim has become the mirror reflecting their authentic self, rather than their carefully curated image. They experience this clarity as an unforgivable betrayal, an attack on their right to define reality according to their needs. This rage manifests as increasingly aggressive attempts to punish their victim for achieving psychological independence. They may launch smear campaigns designed to destroy their victim's credibility before their victim can expose the narcissist's true nature to others. They escalate their cruelty, hoping that sufficient pain will force their victim back into the compliant confusion that previously characterized the relationship. They become vindictive in ways that reveal the depth of their desperation to reassert control. The intensity of this rage exposes the narcissist's fundamental fragility. Their grandiose self-image was always dependent on others' willingness to accept their distortions. When someone refuses to be fooled, the narcissist's entire psychological structure becomes unstable, triggering defensive aggression that confirms everything their victim has learned about their toxic nature. The desperate cycling through their arsenal. Unable to accept that their manipulation no longer works, the narcissist frantically cycles through their entire repertoire of control tactics with increasing desperation and decreasing effectiveness. They attempt love bombing that their victim recognizes as temporary performance rather than genuine change. They manufacture crises designed to trigger their victim's caretaking instincts, only to find those instincts have been replaced with healthy skepticism. They try playing the victim, hoping for the sympathy that once reliably produced compliance but encounter only calm indifference. This cycling reveals the narcissist's limited psychological toolkit. They have no genuine connection skills to fall back on when manipulation fails. They can only repeat the same tactics with increasing intensity, growing more transparent and pathetic with each failed attempt. Their victim watches this desperate performance with the detached interest of someone observing a predictable psychological pattern rather than experiencing emotional manipulation. The narcissist's discovery that nothing works anymore triggers a crisis that forces them to either find new supply or confront the terrifying possibility that they might need to change. Most choose the former, abandoning their too aware victim in search of fresh targets who haven't yet developed immunity to their tactics. The ultimate discard or desperate departure. When the narcissist accepts that they can no longer fool their victim, they typically respond in one of two ways. They either discard their victim with spectacular cruelty designed to inflict maximum pain, or they depart with surprising speed when they realize their victim is planning to leave first. Both responses stem from their desperate need to maintain the illusion of control and avoid the humiliation of being left by someone who saw through them completely. The narcissist cannot tolerate being the one fooled or outsmarted, so they rewrite the narrative to position themselves as the one who ended things by choice. They tell anyone who will listen that their victim was the problem, was crazy, was impossible to please. Anything to avoid acknowledging that someone achieved complete psychological independence from their manipulation. This final performance reveals that even in defeat, the narcissist remains committed to the lie, unable to accept the simple truth that someone learned to see them clearly and chose freedom over the prison of their dysfunction.